Okay, so I'm gonna just show some a lighting technique which I like to use, which funnily enough doesn't involve much lighting. Um, it's actually more about the reflections. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a light at least. We're going to use Maya, and this is with the Arnold renderer switched on. And we're just going to add this kind of sky dome light. And what that gives us straight away in our scene. So our scene is basically a plane and a sphere. The sphere's got a standard blend shader attached to it. And this is what you get straight off the bat. So you get a very bright scene with some nice soft shadows, and then you see the reflection of the dome is in the sphere there. Okay, so the next thing I like to do is to find my sky dome and then turn the light down quite a lot. So we'll turn the intensity down to, I don't know, 0.1 or something. Right, and that gives us now a very dark scene. And then I'm going to put lights in, but I'm not actually going to use lights. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use a plane, and I'm going to increase the intensity of the brightness, and I'm going to use that as a light instead, because I find that that's more intuitive. It acts more like how I'd expect a light to act, rather than using actual lights that come with the software package. And I'll show you what I mean. So I can take this plane and duplicate it, and it's rotated up. And I'll just show you how this works. You can bring it down in size. And then put it up there. And essentially what I'm going to turn this into a kind of a light box. So if I add a shader, just a Lambert shader, and then in the colour section, I'm going to add a ramp. You can see the ramp appearing here. And I'm going to turn that ramp into a circular ramp and switch it round. Switch the colours around on the ramp, so you've got the white and the black in the opposite areas. In fact, I'm not even going to use black. I'm going to put a bit of grey there. And then the trick is, in this section, to go into the selected colour bit, and then go into the V section of the HSV, and then turn that up to 10. And what that does is it just increases the brightness of the colour white. And then what you get when you render that is you get this kind of plane is now acting like a light box, and it's giving us a nice kind of highlighted reflection in our sphere. And this is kind of this is basically a standard studio setup. And then you can just, before I duplicate that, hang on. Then what you can do is you can go into the render stats of the plane that you've created. And you can turn off cast shadows, receive shadows, and primary visibility. And then that will make the object disappear from the scene, but it still gives you your light in there. So you've got a nice kind of invisible light which you can move around. And if we turn on the Arnold render, you've now got something which you can kind of adjust the lighting with. And it gives you a bit more kind of intuitive influence over your object, over lighting your object. So if you want to make another light, you can just duplicate that one, put it over this side, and you've got another highlight. If you wanted to make a kind of a backlight, again duplicate it, spin it around, stick it off in the background somewhere. And as you can see, that gives us our kind of nice rim light that we might want, which kind of helps pop the object. So there you go. So that's essentially how you'd set up a kind of a studio lighting setup. And again, if you can see, you've got really nice soft shadows. You've got these kind of harsh shadows that kind of can interfere with what you're doing. And you've got a very intuitive way of controlling your reflections and highlights, which I think makes it's much easier, I think, than messing around with lights, which are kind of like quite difficult to understand. So that's the kind of the basics of it. And then when you actually bring in let's hide this now and bring in an actual object. Yes. So let's bring in a little man to the ceiling. Okay. And we've got this kind of character, and already kind of looks okay from the lighting perspective, and there's not much you have to do with it. And then whatever camera angle you set up, you're always going to have something reasonably nice to work with. And then if you wanted to put an HDR image into your sky dome, then you can do that, and all you're doing is just kind of adding extra coloured lights and stuff. But your kind of aesthetic reflections, which is kind of what sells the character, are going to be there quite nicely